A single call after midnight can change everything. For Claire Benson, it happened at 12:28 a.m., when her best friend's husband whispered her name like it carried a secret too heavy to hold alone. Claire sat up in bed, heart kicking fast. The room felt tight and unfamiliar, even though it was her own. Her phone glowed on the nightstand, vibrating again, as if urging her to pick up. She answered on the third ring. "Claire," Mark said, his voice low and unsteady. "I need to warn you. Something's not right with Emily tonight." Emily. Her best friend since high school. The woman she trusted more than anyone. Claire pushed hair away from her face and tried to steady her breath. Mark sounded nothing like the calm, measured man she knew. He sounded shaken. "What do you mean?" Claire asked. There was a quiet rustle on the other end, like he had stepped outside. "She left the house hours ago," Mark said. "She didn't say where. She's not answering me. But that's not the part that worries me." Claire felt a tight twist in her stomach. "Then what is?" she whispered. Mark let out a slow breath. "She was upset before she left. Really upset. She said something about you, but she wouldn't explain. I thought you should know." Claire's pulse thudded in her ears. Emily had never kept distance from her. If anything, they had always talked through everything. Every fear, every frustration, every moment that felt too heavy to carry alone. "What did she say about me?" Claire asked. Mark paused. "That she found something," he said quietly. "Something she wasn't supposed to see." Claire felt a cold rush crawl up her spine. "I don't know what she meant," Mark added. "But she looked hurt, angry, confused. And when I asked her again, she just grabbed her keys and left." Claire pressed her hand to her chest, trying to slow the panic rising inside her. She searched her memory for anything, any moment, any misunderstanding that could have driven Emily out into the night like that. But nothing came. Then Mark's voice softened. "Claire, I called you because I'm worried. About her. And honestly, about you. I think she might be headed your way." Claire froze. "To my house?" she asked. "I don't know for sure. But it felt like she had something she wanted to confront." The words landed like a quiet storm between them. Thunder rumbled somewhere far off, like the sky itself had leaned in to listen. The house was silent except for Claire's breathing, quick and shallow. She stood from the bed and crossed to the window. Her street looked empty, the lampposts casting soft golden circles on the pavement. Everything looked calm. But Claire felt anything but calm. Mark continued, still sounding uneasy. "I didn't want to alarm you. But if she shows up, could you call me? I'm trying to find her. I don't want her driving around upset." Claire nodded, even though he couldn't see her. "Of course," she said. Mark hesitated again. "I know this is strange," he said softly. "But thank you for picking up. I didn't know who else to call." There was something in his tone, tired, worn, weighed down, something Claire had never heard from him before. It made her chest tighten with worry, not for herself, but for both of them. "I'll keep watch," she told him. "And I'll let you know if she comes." They exchanged quiet goodbyes. When the call ended, Claire stood still, phone in hand, feeling the silence gather around her. Thunder rumbled again. A soft breeze brushed her curtains. Claire's thoughts spun, unsettled. Emily didn't get angry easily. She didn't vanish without saying something. And she never walked away from a problem without talking to Claire first. Something must have happened. Something serious. Claire walked into the living room and turned on a small lamp. Warm light pushed back the darkness, but not the unease. She replayed the call in her head, trying to piece together what could have driven Emily into the night with unresolved anger and a mysterious claim of finding something. Mark wasn't the dramatic type. If he was panicked, something real was going on. Claire grabbed a light cardigan from the back of a chair and wrapped it around herself. The house suddenly felt too large, too quiet. She moved to the front window and peered outside again. Still no movement. Still no headlights. Just the steady hum of a sleeping neighborhood. But her body stayed tense, like it sensed something her eyes couldn't see. She tried calling Emily, but the phone rang until it reached voicemail. Hearing Emily's voice in the greeting made her chest ache. She set the phone down, exhaling shakily. Another thought pressed forward, quieter but sharper. What if Emily truly believed Claire had kept something from her? What if whatever she had found could fracture their friendship? Claire rubbed her arms, trying to chase away the chill. She had nothing to hide. At least, she thought she didn't. The clock on the wall ticked softly. 1 minute passed. Then 2. Then, as the wind brushed against the windows, Claire noticed something new. Headlights. Far down the street. A single car moving slowly, almost cautiously, like the driver was searching for a particular house. Claire's breath hitched as the car approached her block. It stopped at the corner. A moment of stillness. Then it eased forward again. Her pulse thudded. The car pulled up to her house and stopped right outside her driveway. Claire pressed a hand to her lips. The engine turned off. But the driver didn't get out. Claire's heart hammered as she stared through the window, trying to make out the shape inside. She couldn't see clearly, but she felt something. A pull of dread. A whisper of fear. A tightening of the unknown. Then the driver's door opened. A figure stepped out. Claire's chest tightened, breath catching halfway. It was Emily. But something about her posture, the way she stood in the faint glow of the streetlight, looked different, unsteady, almost lost. Claire's hand trembled as she reached for the doorknob. She had no idea what Emily had discovered. And no idea what she might say next. But Claire knew one thing. This night was about to change everything. And nothing would go back to the way it had been. Emily stood at the edge of Claire's driveway, her figure outlined by the dim streetlight. Her shoulders were hunched, her arms held close to her body, like she was bracing against something no one else could see. Claire opened the front door slowly. "Emily," she said, her voice soft but steady. "Are you okay?" Emily lifted her head. Her eyes looked tired, rimmed with something that wasn't quite tears but wasn't far from them either. She didn't smile. She didn't speak. She just stared at Claire for a long moment, as if choosing whether to walk forward or turn around and disappear into the night again. Then she took a small step. "Can I come in?" Emily asked quietly. Claire nodded and stepped aside. When Emily entered the house, she moved like someone carrying invisible weight. She tugged her jacket around her and wiped rain from her cheeks, though Claire wasn't sure if it was rain at all. The storm was still gathering outside, but the real storm felt like it had already arrived inside her living room. Claire closed the door gently, giving Emily space. They walked toward the small lamplit corner of the living room. Emily sat on the edge of the couch, her hands clasped together so tightly her knuckles turned pale. Claire sat across from her. Silence stretched between them. Not cold. Not angry. Just heavy, like they were both afraid to be the first to speak. Claire leaned forward. "Mark called me," she said softly. Emily's head snapped up. "He did?" she asked, a mix of surprise and something like frustration crossing her face. Claire nodded. "He said you left the house upset. He was worried. I am too." Emily shook her head and looked down, rubbing her forehead. "This isn't about him," she murmured. "Or, it is, but not the way you think." Claire's pulse quickened. "Then talk to me," she said. "Whatever you found, whatever's going on. I want to understand." Emily exhaled a shaky breath. "I didn't want to come here," she said. "I told myself I wouldn't. But I couldn't stop thinking about it. I needed to know the truth." Claire felt a flicker of confusion. The truth about what? Emily looked up again. Her eyes were bright, hurt, searching, maybe even afraid. "I found something tonight," Emily said slowly. "Something that involves you. And Mark." Claire's heart dropped. "Me and Mark," she repeated. Emily nodded. "And I didn't know what to think. I didn't want to think what it looked like." Claire felt the room tilt slightly, her body reacting before she even knew what the accusation might be. "Emily. I have never." "I know," Emily cut in quickly, lifting a hand. "I know you would never betray me. That's not who you are. But when I found it, it felt like someone had punched me. I couldn't breathe until I came here." Claire swallowed hard. "Tell me what you found." Emily reached into her jacket pocket and pulled out a small folded paper. She placed it on the coffee table between them. Claire stared at it. Her hands felt heavy as she reached out and unfolded the paper. It wasn't a letter. Not a note. Not anything handwritten. It was a photo. A printed photo. Claire inhaled sharply as she saw it. She and Mark stood side by side in the parking lot of a small cafe. Claire recognized the moment instantly. It had been taken several weeks earlier, when Mark had dropped off a folder Emily needed for work and Claire happened to be grabbing coffee nearby. In the photo, Mark had leaned slightly toward her, mid-sentence. Claire was smiling. The angle made the moment look intimate in a way it wasn't. Claire blinked, stunned. "Emily, this looks bad, but it's not what it seems," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Emily didn't speak. She waited. Claire tried to steady her thoughts. "That morning, you had that early meeting with your boss," Claire explained. "You forgot the folder at home. Mark called me because he knew I was near the cafe. He asked if I could hand it off to him there so he could get it to you on time." Emily nodded slowly. "I remembered the meeting. But I didn't know the rest." "It was nothing," Claire said firmly. "Just a quick handoff. We talked for maybe 2 minutes. Emily took the photo back, staring at it like she was trying to read more than the image could possibly tell her. "I found this in Mark's desk drawer," she said quietly, "hidden under a bunch of papers. And when I saw it, Claire, my mind went places I didn't want it to go." Claire's heart softened painfully. "Oh, Emily," she whispered. "Why would he keep something like this? Why wouldn't he just delete it?" Emily looked down at her hands. "That's what scared me," she said. "I didn't understand. And when I asked him what he was hiding, he got flustered. He said it was nothing. But he wouldn't explain why he kept it." Claire felt a pang of worry. Not for herself. Not even for her friendship. For them. For Emily and Mark. "You think he kept it because it meant something to him," Claire said gently. Emily's lips tightened. "I don't know," she whispered. "I hate that I even thought that. I trust you. But I didn't know if I could still trust him." Claire reached forward and took Emily's hands, squeezing them softly. "You can trust me," Claire said. "Always. Whatever this looks like. I swear to you, nothing happened." Emily nodded, gripping Claire's hands like they were the only solid thing in the room. "I believe you," she said. I think I just panicked. I left before he could explain. I drove around for hours. I didn't know where to go. And somehow I ended up here." Claire exhaled slowly. "You did the right thing," she said. "We'll figure this out." Emily looked away, her voice barely audible. "There's more." Claire felt her breath catch. "More?" she asked softly. Emily nodded, her throat tight. "When I confronted Mark," she whispered, "he said something I can't get out of my head. Something about that morning. Something about you." Claire's pulse quickened. "What did he say?" Emily swallowed hard, her eyes lifting to meet Claire's. "He said he didn't keep the photo because of you," she murmured. "He kept it because of something he didn't want me to know." Claire leaned in, heart pounding. "What didn't he want you to know?" Emily hesitated, her voice trembling as she spoke. "He said someone else took that photo. And they left a message for him with it." Claire felt a chill sweep through her. "A message?" she whispered. Emily nodded slowly. "A message," she repeated. "And it wasn't signed." Claire's breath caught, her mind spinning with questions. Emily's voice dropped even lower. "He said it was a warning." And for the first time that night, true fear flickered in her eyes. Claire felt the word warning settle in her chest like a cold stone. The room seemed to shrink around them, the soft lamplight suddenly too dim, too far away. "A warning?" Claire repeated quietly. "What kind of warning?" Emily shook her head, her hands twisting together again as if she couldn't stop them. "He wouldn't tell me," she said. "Not clearly. He just said the message told him to watch carefully. That someone was paying attention to him, and to us." Claire felt a prickle crawl up the back of her neck. "Us?" she asked. "You and Mark?" Emily hesitated. "No," she whispered. "You and me. And anything connected to us." A small shiver slipped down Claire's spine. She tried to keep her voice steady, calm. Could it be some sort of prank, she asked. Something harmless? Someone being dramatic? Emily shook her head again, firmer this time. The message came in the mail, she said. No return address. Just the photo. And one short line printed at the bottom. Claire's breath hitched. You saw it? Emily nodded. After I left the house, she whispered. I couldn't stop thinking about everything. So I drove back. Mark was gone, I think he went out looking for me. But the message was still in the drawer. I took a picture of it. Emily reached into her phone and pulled up an image, then handed it to Claire. Claire stared at the screen. It was the same cafe photo. Under it, printed in small, sharp black letters. You don't know the full story. Claire felt a strange heat rise in her chest. Not anger. Not fear exactly. Something in between. Someone mailed this to him? Claire murmured. Emily nodded. And he hid it. Claire set the phone down and leaned back, trying to steady her breath. Why wouldn't he show you? Or tell you who might have sent it? Emily let out a tired breath. That's what scared me, she said softly. He seemed rattled. Like he recognized something. Or someone. Claire thought back to the morning the photo was taken. Who had been around? She couldn't remember seeing anyone she knew. Just a couple of cars, a few people walking dogs, a woman talking on her phone. Nothing unusual. Did he say anything else? Claire asked. Emily looked away. There's something he said that I haven't told you yet. Claire leaned in again, pulse quickening. What is it? Emily's voice dropped so low Claire had to strain to hear it. He said the person who sent the photo has done something like this before. Claire's eyes widened. To him? Emily nodded slowly. Years ago, she murmured. Before he met me. Claire stared at her, stunned. He said he used to get these strange messages, Emily continued. Not threats exactly. More like reminders. Someone watching from a distance. Someone who knew parts of his life he didn't want anyone else knowing. Claire swallowed. Did he tell you who it might be? No, Emily whispered. He said he never found out. A silence fell between them, thick and uneasy. Claire rubbed her forehead, trying to steady the swirl of questions. Emily, why didn't he tell you that sooner? She asked gently. Emily let out a humorless breath. He said he didn't want to worry me. That it had been so long since anything happened. And he thought it was over. But now it isn't. Emily nodded. Claire's thoughts raced. Someone had taken a photo of her and Mark. Someone had sent it deliberately. Someone who wanted Mark to know they were still watching. But why involve her? Have you two had any issues before now? Claire asked. Anyone who might want to stir things up? Emily shook her head. No one I can think of. Our lives are quiet. Normal. Claire paused, then spoke carefully. If someone wanted to hurt your relationship, sending a photo like that would be an easy way to do it. Emily nodded, swallowing hard. I thought the same, she said. But the way Mark reacted, it wasn't about suspicion. He looked scared. Claire's stomach tightened. What do you want to do? Claire asked softly. Emily leaned back, staring at the ceiling for a long moment. I don't know, she murmured. But I knew I had to talk to you. I needed to look you in the eyes and know the truth. Claire reached out, touching her hand gently. You have it, she said. Nothing happened. And whoever sent that, they want to create tension. Don't let them. Emily nodded again, but her eyes stayed clouded. Thunder growled outside, finally breaking through the heavy air. The first raindrops tapped against the windows. Emily's voice softened. There's something else, Claire, she whispered. One more thing. Claire felt every muscle in her body tighten again. What is it? Emily hesitated long enough for Claire's heartbeat to fill the silence. When I left the house the second time, Emily said, I noticed another envelope in the mailbox. The same type as the first one. Claire felt her breath freeze. You opened it, she whispered. Emily nodded. Slowly. I did, she said. And this one wasn't addressed to Mark. Claire swallowed. Then who was it addressed to? Emily met her eyes, and something in her expression made Claire's pulse jolt. It had your name on it. Claire's breath left her in one quick, stunned exhale. My name, she whispered. Emily nodded. I didn't open the envelope, she said softly. I only saw what was written on the outside. But Claire. She paused, voice trembling. The handwriting looked the same. And the message on the front, it wasn't friendly. Claire's chest tightened. What did it say? Emily's lips parted, but she didn't breathe for a moment. Then, in a soft, shaking voice, she spoke. It said, "It's your turn now." The words hung in the room like a quiet, dark echo. Claire felt the world tilt slightly, her vision narrowing, her heartbeat thudding in her ears. Someone had sent a warning to Mark. And now, someone had sent one to her. For the first time that night, Claire felt a deep, sharp fear settle in her bones. And she knew, whatever this was, it was only beginning. The rain outside shifted from gentle tapping to a steady, restless drum against the windows. Claire felt the sound vibrate through her chest, matching the rhythm of her own shaken heartbeat. She stared at Emily, the words still echoing in her mind. It's your turn now. Claire swallowed hard, trying to steady her breath. Where is the envelope now? She asked quietly. Emily reached into her jacket pocket again, the same pocket where she had kept the photo. This time she pulled out a thin, sealed envelope. It was plain. No return address. No stamp. Just Claire's name printed neatly across the front. The lettering was small, sharp, deliberate. Claire felt a chill move through her. Why didn't you open it? She whispered. Emily looked down, her voice barely more than a breath. Because, it felt wrong, she said. If someone is watching us, watching our homes, sending us things. I thought you should be the one to see it first. Claire nodded slowly. Her hands trembled as she reached for the envelope. Emily watched her, eyes heavy with worry. Claire held the envelope for a long moment. It felt too light, like there was barely anything inside. I don't know if I should open it, Claire murmured. Emily leaned forward. You don't have to do it alone, she said softly. I'm here. Claire nodded. She slid a finger under the flap and opened it carefully, trying not to rip anything inside. A single piece of paper fell into her lap. Claire unfolded it. Her breath hitched. It wasn't a message. Not words. It was another photo. Claire stared, her stomach twisting. It showed her standing outside her own house earlier that week, holding a grocery bag, her hair caught in the wind. She remembered that moment. She had paused on the front steps because she thought she'd heard something behind her. In the photo, she wasn't looking at the camera. But someone had been there, watching. Close enough to see her clearly. Close enough to capture her expression. A faint unease settled through every inch of her. Emily leaned closer. Oh, Claire, she whispered. This is not okay. Claire ran her finger along the edge of the photo. It looks like it was taken from a car window, she murmured. Or across the street. Emily nodded, her face pale. Who would do this? Claire said, voice shaking. And why send it now? Why send it to me? Emily's voice was quiet but sure. Whoever it is, they want you involved. Claire felt a flicker of fear, sharp and quick. Mark said the first one was a warning, Claire whispered. But this feels different. Emily clasped her hands tighter. I think they're trying to make you feel watched, she said softly. The way Mark felt years ago. Claire forced her breath to steady. Do you think this has anything to do with his past? She asked. Emily looked troubled. He said it was over, she murmured. But maybe it wasn't. Claire set the photo on the coffee table, facing down, unable to look at it any longer. We should call him, she said quietly. He needs to know what was in this envelope. Emily nodded and reached for her phone. She dialed Mark's number. They both listened to the ringing stretch across the room, long and empty. No answer. Emily tried again. Still nothing. A tight knot formed in Claire's chest. He said he'd call me if he heard from you, Claire said. If he didn't pick up. Where is he? Emily swallowed. He was out looking for me, she said, worry creeping into her voice. He should be home by now. Thunder rumbled again, louder this time, rolling across the roof like the sky itself was unsettled. Claire took a slow breath and tried to think. Maybe he's still driving, she said. Maybe he didn't hear his phone. Emily nodded, but her eyes stayed troubled. Claire stood up and walked to the front window, peering out into the rain-soaked street. No headlights. No movement. Just the steady glow from the streetlight and the scattered drops racing down the glass. Emily's voice rose gently behind her. Claire, there's something else I didn't tell you. Claire turned. Emily sat rigidly on the couch, her hands clasped so tightly her knuckles looked white. What is it? Claire asked. Emily drew in a breath, shaky and uneven. When I found the envelopes, she whispered, there was something else in the mailbox. Claire stepped closer. What did you find? Emily reached into her pocket once more and pulled out a small, folded slip of paper. This one was different. Old. The edges creased. The ink faint. I think it fell out of Mark's envelope, she said. It wasn't sealed. It must have gotten stuck. Claire took the slip from her, unfolding it carefully. The handwriting was uneven, like someone had written it quickly. A single line. You let her walk into the story. Now she stays. Claire felt the words sink into her, heavy and cold. Emily's voice cracked as she spoke again. Claire, whoever sent this, they want you involved. They want you pulled into whatever started years ago. Claire closed her eyes for a moment, steadying the rush of fear. I don't understand any of this, she said softly. I don't know who they're talking about. Or what story I supposedly walked into. Emily's voice trembled. But Mark might know. Claire nodded slowly. They needed him. They needed answers. And they needed them now. Emily picked up her phone again, hand shaking. I'm going to call him one more time, she said. Before she could dial, a sound cut through the room. A faint chime. Clear. Sharp. Both women froze. It wasn't Emily's phone. It wasn't Claire's. It was the sound of a text notification. From Claire's kitchen. Claire's eyes widened. She moved slowly toward the counter, every step tight with anticipation. Her phone screen lit up. A new message. Unknown number. Emily stood beside her, breath held. Claire tapped the message open. A single photo filled the screen. Claire felt her knees weaken. It was her house. Taken from the outside. Right now. Rain falling across the lens. And in the window, her living room window, she could see two figures. She and Emily. Standing exactly where they were. Emily's voice cracked into a soft whisper. Claire, oh my goodness. They're watching the house right now. Claire's breath trembled. And beneath the photo was one more line, typed in clean black text. I told you. It's your turn. Claire stared at the message, her heartbeat pulsing hard in her ears. Someone was out there. Someone was watching them. And someone wanted her to know. Claire's fingers tightened around the phone as she stared at the photo. Rain streaked down the lens, blurring the street just enough to make everything feel unreal. But the figures in the window were unmistakable. Her and Emily. Right there. Right now. Emily stepped closer, her voice barely a breath. We need to get away from the windows. Claire nodded and moved instinctively. They ducked into the hallway, the shadows thicker there, the sound of rain muffled. The air felt tight, like the walls themselves were bracing for something. Claire pressed her back against the wall, the phone still glowing in her hand. We have to call someone, Emily whispered. The police, Mark, anyone. Claire tried to steady her breathing. Let's try Mark again, she said, though uncertainty crept into her tone. Emily dialed. The call rang once. Twice. Then a click. Emily. Mark's voice came through, strained, rushed, shaken. Emily's shoulders sagged in relief. Mark, she whispered. Where are you? I'm on my way to Claire's, he said. I've been driving around looking for you. When you didn't answer, He exhaled sharply. Are you both safe? Emily looked at Claire. We're inside, she said. But something happened. Someone sent a picture. Of us. Just now. They're outside. Mark didn't speak for a moment. Then, in a low, urgent tone, he said. Lock the doors. Don't go near any windows. I'm 5 minutes away. Claire felt a wave of relief at his certainty, but a deeper unease still tugged at her. Mark, she whispered, taking the phone gently from Emily, you need to tell us the truth. All of it. Whoever is doing this, they're not stopping. Mark's breath caught on the other end. I will, he said quietly. But not over the phone. The call ended. Claire lowered the phone, her hand trembling. Emily leaned against the wall, trying to slow her breathing. What do you think he's going to say? Emily asked. I don't know, Claire admitted. But whatever started this, it didn't start tonight. They stood there in silence as the minutes stretched. The rain pounded harder. The house settled with soft, shifting creaks. Every sound felt amplified, like someone was listening in the quiet. Then a noise. A soft one. From outside. Near the porch. Emily grabbed Claire's arm. What was that? She whispered. Claire held her breath. Another sound. Slow. Measured. Like footsteps on wet wood. Someone was on her porch. Claire's pulse hammered. She moved toward the living room, staying low, staying quiet. Emily followed, her breath tight and shallow. Claire peeked around the corner, eyes barely above the windowsill. The porch light flickered in the rain. And through the blur of droplets, she could see a figure, a dark silhouette standing at the edge of the porch steps. Not moving. Not approaching. Just standing. Watching the house. Claire's heart pounded so loudly she worried the figure could hear it. Is it Mark? Emily whispered, barely audible. Claire shook her head. No. Mark would be in the driveway. Not standing like that. The figure didn't shift. Didn't lean closer. Didn't step forward. Just watched. Claire backed away from the window. We need to stay inside, she whispered. We don't know what they want. Emily nodded, her face pale. Then headlights cut through the rain. A car turned onto Claire's street, moving fast. It pulled into the driveway. Emily gasped softly. It's Mark. Claire exhaled shakily. But when she looked back toward the porch, the figure was gone. Where? Emily whispered. Claire held up a hand. The porch was empty. No sound of footsteps running away. No shadow slipping into the street. Just rain. And silence. A knock sounded on the door, 3 sharp knocks. Emily flinched. It's me, Mark called from outside, breathless. Claire rushed to unlock the door. Mark stepped in, dripping, his hair soaked, his jacket plastered to him. What happened? He demanded, voice tight with fear. Claire handed him the phone with the photo. Mark stared at it. His face drained of color. Not again, he whispered. Emily stepped forward. Mark, she said gently, you promised you'd tell us. Please. We need to know what this is. Mark looked at both of them, really looked, and something in his expression shifted. Like he knew he couldn't protect the truth any longer. He took a slow breath. This started a long time ago, he said. When I was in college. Claire and Emily exchanged a glance. There was someone I knew, Mark continued. A guy named Noah Jennings. He was smart. Charming. But he wasn't stable. He believed people were watching him. Studying him. Following him. He'd bring me photos of random people on campus, insisting they were connected somehow. Emily's voice softened. What happened to him? Mark swallowed. One night, he disappeared. Left school. No one heard from him again. Claire felt the room tighten. And you think, he's the one sending these messages? She asked. Mark nodded slowly. I don't know for sure, he said. But a week before he vanished, he said something that never left me. He said, one day you'll see what I see. One day you'll understand the story you walked into. Claire's breath caught. The wording. The message. The way everything had been unfolding. Emily looked shaken. Mark, why didn't you tell me sooner? She asked. If you thought someone from your past was watching us. Mark ran a hand through his wet hair. Because nothing happened for years, he said. Not one sign. Not one message. I thought it was over. I thought he'd gotten help or moved on. He took a shaky breath. But 2 months ago, The first envelope showed up. Same handwriting. Same tone. And when I saw the second one tonight, when I saw Claire's name, his voice broke slightly. I knew whoever it was, they weren't watching me anymore. They were watching the people I care about. Silence filled the room. The rain eased outside, settling into a softer rhythm. Claire stepped closer to Mark. "What do we do now?" she asked. Mark looked at her, then at Emily. "We don't hide," he said quietly. "And we don't let him control our lives. I'm calling the police. We'll show them everything. The photos. The envelopes. All of it." Emily nodded and reached for his hand. Claire exhaled, feeling a flicker of steadiness return. For the first time that night, they weren't alone. But as Mark pulled out his phone to call for help, Claire's gaze drifted toward the porch window. A small detail caught her eye. A wet footprint on the wood. Just one. As though whoever had stood there wanted to leave behind a sign. Or a reminder. And though Claire didn't speak it aloud, she understood one thing clearly. This wasn't over. Not yet. But she wasn't afraid anymore. Because whatever story she had walked into, she wasn't walking through it alone.